So hi guys, my name is Junta. I'm part of the band The Cacophony, and um, I was very. My life has been very unproductive these days, so I try to try something new. So this would be this channel, or this video series would be a series about either me showing the process of trying to write new music and record new music, or going over a few songs that I've written in the past and going through the process in which I wrote and recorded that song. And in the meantime, maybe I could give you guys a few ideas if you are interested in recording music, because I also started off as a person, like as a person, an angsty kid in high school that only had a guitar and wanted to just sing his soul out. And I ended up, as mediocre as it may be, producing and self-recording my own album. So maybe showing you guys in the process of how I got to actually record and finish these 12 songs on my last album might give you guys a sort of give you a hand to some people maybe. So yeah. So today I want to look over I think it's this, I don't remember actually, it's the seventh track of my album, Teenage Angst. It's a song called Dusk. The song Dusk, I think the initial concept of that song was from a demo back that I wrote in 2014. So it was my second year of high school, and I didn't have any microphones back then. I didn't have any gear. I had a very old MacBook Air that I received from my uncle because it became just way too old for him to use properly. And I just basically was, in my free time, have my acoustic guitar or electric guitar and just record myself playing whatever voice or whatever melody came out of my head and whatever chord progression my hands would go to. After graduating from high school in 2016, I realized that I wanted to record these high school songs into an album, because I wanted to capture and keep forever those emotions, those songs, those melodies that I had come up with during that phase and during that time that would never come back in my life, my teenage years, my adolescence. So I would revisit these demos in my MacBook, and I found one of these songs that was really, really fast-paced emo, and it sounded like a mixture between Britpop and just straight-up punk rock from Green Day. Apparently, I was listening to a lot of them back then. So it went something like, "You are everything, everything I want, and all." So yeah, something like really fast. It was really fast-paced and really high-tempoed. And it sounded really cheesy at first, to be honest, but there's something about the melody and the lyrics. I think the only lyrics that I had was, "You know everything, everything I want," and whatnot. There's something very pure about that emotion, I thought, that I was feeling back then. And there's also something I think resonates towards the core of what human beings sometimes do feel. That feeling of wanting something and trying to, and making that pledge that I'm going to struggle for that something, to achieve that something throughout their lives. And that's something that drives us forward. It also hurts us, but it's also something that gives a lot of meaning to our lives. So I thought, since the lyrics were like that, and the melody itself about you are everything, that melody had a lot of emotion that I thought I wanted to capture because it was a big part of my high school, my teenage and like adolescent stages. The you in this song isn't really a person. I guess it could be a person, but it wasn't directly intended to it have to be a person or a woman or a person or a guy in a lot of situations. I think the you personifies things that you want to strive for but have struggling or have trouble achieving. It could be a person, but it also could be a dream, it could be a status in life, it could be some kind of meaning or some kind of achievement that you want to like achieve in life. And there are a lot of things that people really want in life and define themselves, but unfortunately have to struggle a lot to achieve that, or at the end it just slips out of their hands. And I think this song wants to capture that kind of emotion. On a very drunk day, you are in your room alone looking at the sun come up, and you're realizing that something really mattered to me, and I'm really sad about that moment. But as it goes on, it becomes a bit more determined that you aren't simply were the past. I'm going to try my best to try to make you mine. So as much as this is a sad song, I think it's one of the most hopeful songs on the album, because there is a really positive note at the end. Because it's not simply about I'm giving up, you were everything, but I'm really sad. But I wanted to capture that sense of emotion that I still have hope, or even if I don't have hope, I will still struggle and try to achieve you to the end. So I think that's one of the reasons why it makes me like that song so much. So the song goes like this. So it starts off with that like acoustic arpeggio, and it retains throughout the song. Though this alone was good, I just wanted a bit of a more of an eerie, spatial atmosphere behind it. So I put in a background synthesizer. It was done by Seo. He's one of my friends. He also played the bass guitar in this track. He's also a wonderful musician. You can check out his SoundCloud. And this background music gave it a sort of just simple synthesizer, just provides a sort of an ambience behind it. I think gave it a sort of a more of a spatial, alternative, like experimental kind of sound. It just was a bit upsetting, and not too bit of upsetting, which I thought suited the emotion of just reflecting back on a failed love, a failed dream when you're drunk. And that upsetting sort of eerie nature actually gave it a sense of sort of emphasized and amplified that emotion. So with the guitar it goes like this. So just put in the vocals.
Bright lights and morning gods, another dawning sun, heading into dusk.
So the first verse essentially is that arpeggio segment with the background synthesizers along with my vocals, and I'm singing a very low speaking kind of way. And the lyrics didn't take a lot of time, it just came out directly, and that's why I think I'd like to believe that it's because it came out from the core of my heart and I actually felt a sincere kind of emotion. Maybe it was just luck, but I was just playing the guitar and I was imagining being drunk and hungover, and I was back home, and there's one of those times when you're drunk and you start reflecting on the past, right? So I was thinking about that, and seeing the sun rise when you're so late, you're drunk, you're hungover, and you're just reflecting on lost opportunities. Bright lights and morning guts, another dawning sun, heading into dusk. Laugh and shrug it off, drink it away. It didn't matter anyway. So the scenery that I'm trying to portray here, I think, is you're drunk, you've drunken a lot because obviously you're not in the best state of mind, you're not in the best position in life, and you go home and you're drunk as hell, you're lying on your bed and you see the sunrise and you're introspecting, you're reflecting on your failures, your lost opportunities, and also you're just like admitting to yourself how you're trying to practice a form of escapism and trying to like not face your problems because through drinking or through music or through whatnot. I think that's that reflection on that's part of the first verse.
Laugh and shrug it off, drink it away, say didn't matter anyway. These feelings come at night, an everlasting pride of all I've wanted to be. But
So it goes on to the chorus here. Let me just hear it. Let me just let you guys hear it first.
you were everything, everything I wanted. Oh, I got to. You were every burning breath of mine.
Right, so in the chorus here, it's the same arpeggio progression. You are everything, everything I wanted. But what comes in is a affected guitar and just having a lot of wet reverb on the guitar and delay. So, just playing the initial chords, I think. So So when I play that kind of affected guitar, it gives something new in the chorus, right? Another dimension that introduces, and I think builds up something more unique in the song. So, again,
Everything I
just in the background, you hear that crooning sort of affected guitar.
got to.
And then it goes on to second verse from there. So, suicide, and then it sort of builds up. I put in a bit more, so I put in a bit of drums as well.
A suicide kiss, sudden warm embrace. This moment it's it, so just fuck everything. I don't know where I'm going, I don't know where we're headed.
So the second verse, for the second verse, it's builds up a bit more. So still the same arpeggio problem. There's a drum set and there's the hollow pad effective guitar going constantly throughout. Just going constantly throughout the song, so it gives it a bit of more uptight, hyped in feel. The lyrics of this part are a suicide kiss, sawdust, warm embrace. This moment it's sent. So just fuck everything. And it goes on. I think the initial scenery that I'm trying to paint here was a sense of self-destruction. That the reason why I'm not achieving, or it might have been because I haven't achieved that person or that goal that I wanted to, that I'm going into a more self-destructive form of situation. So a suicide kiss, Sade's warm embrace, all references, I think, to a bit of more self-destructural behavior. And maybe that's the reason why I didn't achieve that. Not because the situation was bad, but maybe I'm being a bit more honest to myself. Instead of blaming other people, maybe I'm realizing that my irresponsible, lackluster behavior was the reason behind me not being able to achieve these kind of things that I wanted to. And I think it sort of expresses a lot of the things that we live in throughout life. Although might be the fault of others, there's a lot of things I think are due to ourselves and our inability to get our stuff together and just like progress through these struggles. And oftentimes self-destructive, not planned, unproductive behavior can lead us away from our goals. And I think this second verse tries to convey that feeling of self-induced failure. Right. So in the last chorus, it actually just digresses a bit more. The acoustic guitars go out. There's a fade out from the acoustic guitars. And I put in a instead of going the hollow pad guitar, the chords, I actually play an arpeggio, but it's one octave higher than the original arpeggio. I put an octave higher within the I played a total octave higher and more high notes. So yeah, so it sort of changes tone again. It becomes a bit more empty, a bit more it becomes a bit more eerie, a bit more spatial, a bit more spacey, and it sounds like it progresses from the uplift in the last final chorus, which is this true uplifting, like for the energy. It sort of goes down to preserve itself for the energy in the last verse again. So let's go listen.
You were everything, everything I wanted, all I dared to. You were everybody.
And you can hear the it's pan guitars, one left and one right, playing similar things. And then so in the final so in the final chorus, it builds back into that original rock sound that the person has, that fast-paced drums kick in, the bass kicks in. It's the first time the bass guitar comes in, because I didn't put in the bass guitar in the first two tracks, in the first two verses, because I wanted a bit more of an emptier sound. So after that arpeggio section,
You were every burning
it's basically the same progression again, but this time all the instruments are coming in and there's a guitar solo that the guitars are distorted now. There's electric guitars coming in and the guitar solo is sort of driving the song. Guitar solo actually it took a very long time to write, and I don't think I can remember playing it because I actually recorded this guitar solo 3 years ago and I haven't really played the song live. It's basically an ascending progression after. Yeah, so something like that. So it's better to look at what I actually played back then. I'm sure I can learn it if someone actually invited me to play live, but no one has invited me to play live, so I don't remember I'm not practicing my own songs as of now. So the guitar goes like. It's a very high tone. It's very it's actually recorded directly because I didn't have an amp. I couldn't amp it. It's nothing fancy, nothing fast, just tremolo notes and single notes going up in progression. So that those are about I think 16 bars of guitar solo just going up, and before that, so something like that before the end. It's basically just tremolo soloing going up and up. But then again, I had various I had just a hell of a lot of takes just to try to perfect that and try to get a sense of emotion, that it's actually building up into something emotional. And I had a lot of different takes. There's one I'm just doing a lot of like tremolo things, and it took a lot of different takes to get that right. So I don't know, some guitarists just can get that right, one guitar solo in one take, and in a few songs I actually have that, but in this it just took a lot of tries, a lot of different solo takes to try to get the emotion. And I think it's one of my favorite solos that I've written in my album, because I'm not a very skilled or a very fast technical player, so I can't really do the John Mayer, like Eric Clapton, like Yngwie Malmsteen kind of soloing. But I think for this, it sort of I wrote a solo that suited the song, that could sort of complement the musicality and emotion of that solo. So these are one of the solos that I'm proud of. So after the solo, it goes on to the vocals at the end, and this time the vocals I'm singing one octave higher, and I'm actually it's actually triple tracked here, and one of them, and they're panned to the left and right. This one's the right and this one's the left, and I have a lower vocal in the middle, and I'm trying to give it a bit more surrounding sound that that sort of as returns that emotion. So octave higher, there's more vocals coming in, giving a fuller sound that tries to like bang into the heart that there's something happening, and screaming the emotion out instead of the somber reflection that was the primary crux for the last two verses. I think also an important thing to note here is, let's hear it first. So one thing to note here again is that the lyrics change from in the first two choruses, the lyrics are "You were everything, everything I want, and all I want, everything I want, and all I dared to." This time, the final verse, as the drums kick in, it becomes the verb changes from were to a present tense are. So you are everything, everything I want, and all I dare to. So I think the last verse, what it does is it is no longer a like self-pitying, reflecting, introspecting kind of drunk man, but he or she is putting himself back together and saying that even though right now the situation isn't nice or isn't good, I'm going to put myself together and try to get you, because you aren't simply something of the past. You are going to be my future. You are something that I'm going to try to achieve, and I'm not going to give up. And I think that sort of emotion gives the song a sense of hope, other than just making a depressing, reflecting song. And I thought it's something that suited my adolescence, because I didn't want to exit my adolescence simply on a low failure note. I wanted to convey a sort of sense of hope and optimism as well, as much as it's a sad, reflective song about failure and being unrequited, being unappreciated. It's also a song that, even though that's true, I'm not going to give up. I'm still going to be me, still going to pursue what I want to pursue, and one day I'm going to make these tables turn. So I think for the last part, if you stay in my sight, so the last lyrics is also a bit funny. It starts with if you stay by my side, no, stay in my sight, I will never let you go. So it's making self adjustments of your goals. If you just stay by my side, if you stay next to me, no. Even if you're not next to me, if you're just in my sight, if you're just there where I can see you, even though you're not currently in my reach, I'm going to keep on trying. And I think that's what sort of overarchingly conveys the message of this song. It's, I'm a failure, I haven't achieved what I want to achieve. Whether that be a person, whether that be a dream, whether that be a job goal or life goal. Even though right now I'm really down and sad about it, still I'm going to keep on. Still, I can't give you up. I'm going to keep on trying to struggle the struggle and get to where I want to be. I think it's something that shares like the cheesiness of, I guess, in all honesty, the cheesiness of a high school teen pretending that he knows something about failure and loss, which at that time I thought I did, and I did, to be honest. But also, there is that sense of young optimism, I guess, that you can sort of sense that this is a young kid who has that sense of ideal and romanticism left in him, that these failures aren't going to define him. I'm always have that like ability to rise above that. And I think that does capture what my emotional state was like back then, because 20, 30 years, 40 years later when I'm 50, I'm unsure if I'm going to be able to sing this kind of lyrics that maybe I'll be able to reflect on what I did in my life, but to be assertive and to try to, at the end, emotionally scream out that I'm going to turn these tables. You have not seen the rest of me, and make that like angsty but also determined kind of soliloquy. It's I think that's a privilege for what a young teenage kid, especially in high school, who's very angsty, could do.